man, I'm in a moment of awe right now and very intentional about every single moment that we get. And I've learned that from being inside of real estate, being around high achievers. Time is very important. Like that's the number one asset that we got. So it allows me to be able to, hey, stop scrolling and go spend time with the boys, stop scrolling, go spend time with the wife, or go outside and play and interact. And I get that because of real estate.
Without Fear of Her Future podcast is for women who are passionately pursuing financial freedom using multiple streams of income and real estate to accomplish their goals. We are here to empower you to be brave, dream big, and design a life that you love. I'm your co-host, Teresa Todd, founder of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and author of the book, Without Fear of Her Future.
And I'm Melissa Baker, a real estate investor and fitness coach specializing in turning properties from drab to fab. I'm here to help motivate and inspire you to build your dream life because, girl, you deserve it. This week, from his early days as a high school football coach to becoming a successful investor, college football player at Stephen F. Austin, Jordan's journey is a compelling blend of resilience, strategy, and transformative decision-making. Today, he not only continues his lucrative real estate career, but also dedicates his time to mentoring others, helping them to navigate the path to financial freedom. Welcome, Jordan, to the show.
You guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're so excited to have you. And besides all of that stuff, I didn't even mention the fact that you are a REI coach.
Absolutely. I think I was the first.
One of the,
you are.
The first,
Yes.
the favorite. I know that the women in the network absolutely love you. And there's so much that we're going to talk about today. But I want to start with you just sharing with us your experiences as a real estate investor and how you got started.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to tell you guys the truth, right? Mine was a little bit different than most. I started off when I lost money in real estate. So I would say it was kind of tough, if I'm being honest with you guys. I was a motivated seller at one point in time. So that led me to finding the tides. Obviously, when I was a motivated seller, I reached out to some of their marketing, and that's how we met. I think that was in 2016. I don't even think you guys had done like 20 or 30 deals at that point, but it was very, very early in the careers. And you guys showed me what to do, how to do it. And ultimately, it was still hard because there's a lot of limiting beliefs that we have along the journey.
Yes.
But ultimately, I think I'm grateful that I made the decision to get started and take that leap of faith like you got to do. And it ended up turning out pretty decent for me. For sure.
Yes, it did. Absolutely. I mean, you were just one of those. I know that it was my sons that really started kind of talking to you and walking you through it. And you just jumped on, and whatever they said, do, you did it. And you had mad success. And I remember they said, put out bandit signs, you put out bandit signs, whatever, you just did it. And
Absolutely.
But I mean, like all of us, we all have limiting beliefs. And especially when we get started, I mean, I think we have them forever. That there's some that we have to fight through forever. But especially when we first get started, there's so many things that we have to just battle in our minds. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I had to go through some of those same things. And for me, my first deal, losing money. My second deal, I think I ended up making like $6,000. It was a flip. We only made $6,000. So we was really on the verge of just saying, you know what? This probably is not the right thing for us to do, if I'm being honest. And then at that particular point, my brother got a call from the Detroit Lions. He could go back and play football. I couldn't. So on my side, I looked at my oldest boy. He's 6 now. And I was like, hey, I think it was like 6 months at the time. I was like, man, this is the only opportunity I have to make the money that I want to provide, like I want to provide. So we hit it full force and end up making some money. So it was awesome for us. But yeah, we had to break through those limiting beliefs. Like, man, we're only trying to do a little bit to hit the jackpot. And then we heard what it really took to be successful from the tides.
Yeah. Well,
we copied and pasted.
That's what it takes.
Yeah. Okay, so from your experience, I think you're a networker. So how important is networking in real estate? And can you share some of your tips on building relationships, especially trying to raise, get those private money lenders, finding in buyers, and all the things?
Absolutely. I was kind of heartbroken when COVID happened, right? There was not a lot of socializing. And up until this point, I still haven't really found a lot of events to get into. But truthfully, if I ever get into a room today, my biggest deal is to add value. Like I'm walking in there
There you
understanding
go.
I'm gonna
Oh,
add
I love
value,
that.
add value, add value. And when I leave, I'm gonna have what I want, right? Whether
Yep.
that's a buyer, private money lender, whatever the case may be, I'm gonna leave with what I want, but I'm gonna go into it as far as adding value. And I remember like it was yesterday, my first networking event. Nobody in the room looked like me. Nobody was my age. I think they had alcohol there. I definitely saw Kelton with a beer in his hand. I was like, hey, I need to get something to take the edge off because I was extremely nervous. Absolutely. Now I understand why they have alcohol at those meetings. But anyways, now it's just all about the acronym form. So family, occupation, recreation, motivation, that's exactly what I'm leading with. And I understand the person I'm gonna be talking to probably gonna be just as nervous as I am,
Yeah.
but I know real estate. So if I can talk about that, I'm pretty comfortable. Right. I'm in my element. I know exactly pitfalls or successes. I know what they look like. I know what they sound like. So whenever I'm in that room, I understand that person was me at one point in time. So now I'm just like, hey, how can I make this all about them, even from the acronym family, occupation, motivation, recreation? And how can I actually get them to give me what I want? Because ultimately, I know that's why everybody's there when we're networking. We're looking to add a piece of the pie of what we need so we can grow our business. So truthfully, I want to ask them so many questions that at the end, they're like, hey, well, enough about me.
Yeah.
Why are you here, Jordan? Right? And then my ag sounds small, so I'm able to move forward. And
Yeah. Well, I just want to comment on that. Adding value, that is the key. When you go in with what can I give instead of what can I take, just going in with a positive attitude, shaking hands, looking people in the eye. I know a lot of our listeners are brand new and they're like, I don't have any value to give. Well, then give kindness and you can always ask about family, like you just said, and some of those things so that you at least become very likable, very easy to talk to. And then it's just exactly what you said. When you will go in with that attitude, then you're going to walk away with what you need, finding whatever that is, an end buyer or private money or whatever that is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It makes it very, very easy to just get a friend.
Yeah.
Like my first private money lender, we stood next to each other having beers for meeting after meeting after meeting. And then he finally told me about his deal. And I was like, man, I don't see how you did it. Somebody else locked it up. They flipped it. How were you even involved? And he told me he was the private money lender. And after all these times of having a connection at the meeting, it was like, man, you know what? Next deal, I'm calling you. Let's get together. We got to do a deal together. We've been having plenty of beers. We're comfortable around each other. Let's do a deal together. Let's make some money together. And that was how I found my first private money lender, from just getting uncomfortable, just meeting a friend. And it took me a long way for sure.
I love that. The importance of networking. You just never know who you're going to get to have a conversation with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you definitely can give us some insights on closing deals. You've closed lots of deals. So what is the key to understanding that sales process and getting people to say yes to you?
On my side, I would say I'm a little bit different, Teresa. I think the seller does not care how much money we make. I don't think they care how much profit we're making at the end of the year, or how many houses we got to buy by the end of the month. So my process is very, very simple. What is it that the seller wants? Right. So typically what we do is we ask a ton of questions. On the first call, it's really comes down to just 5. Those 5 are just going to be the property condition, the motivation, the timeline, amount owed, and then what they want for the property. But on that second conversation, I'm talking about everything from decision maker to, do they have a place to go? Do they need money? Like, what is their relatives thinking about? What are their biggest concerns? Have they talked to other investors? Why haven't they listed it with an agent? And I really ask a lot of these questions because a lot of times it comes back to bite us in the butt when we're like, the seller ghosted us. Why?
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of times as new investors, we think it's all about the price. It's all about the price. And that is the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah.
Right? And we give that seller what they need in that moment, most likely, even if it takes six weeks to close or 2 months to close, who cares? They'll be willing to come back and have a conversation with me. And truthfully, I've had so many people just say, you know what, I talk to a lot of people, but I just feel comfortable with you.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to go with me and move forward with it. So I would say that's probably the difference maker in between how I get people to say yes and why other people are wondering why people are ghosting them.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just thinking about all the elements. I'm thinking if I was in their shoes, what would I need? Like a pre-foreclosure, we talk about it. But if they got bad credit, they're probably going to need first and last month's rent.
Yeah.
So if we're telling them to get out the house before we close, it's probably a less likelihood that they can do that. So we're just thinking about those hurdles and making sure they know that if they have them, we can solve them.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to do it for free, but if we get it under contract, hey, we can definitely solve those hurdles and move them down the line. So maybe they don't get the most amount of money, but they got what they needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not treating it like just a business transaction. You're making it personal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Creating a win-win. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Creating that win-wins. And I think you just nailed it. It's two things. Asking the right questions and then listening and hearing what is it that they really need, reading between the lines a lot of times.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that comes from like just understanding their situation and putting yourself in their shoes. If you were them, how would you act? How would you react?
Yes.
Right. For certain things. And it just, I don't know, it allows me to be able to listen to them. That's a big key component. Most people just look at the script and just ask the questions. But you got to be able to understand as well so you can pivot through that conversation.
Yeah, this is so good. This is going to be fantastic for our listeners.
That's an important key to the success of any deal. I think what you just said is truly listening to what they need, what they want, and working with them on that. So can you share how you ensure profitability on a deal with the 70% rule or the golden formula, as we call it? Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So on my side, I was dubbed, I think Kelton gave me this name years ago, the maximizer, right? So typically it's just how can we make money? Because I think the rule is he who does the most marketing wins.
Yeah. Hey, Jordan, we say she who does the most marketing wins.
There we go. Absolutely. So from that perspective, it's like, how do we get the phone to ring for one, and how do we stay profitable? Because that's the most important, not the LLCs, it's how do you make money so you can live to do the things that we want to do. So from my perspective, the 70% rule is just a rule of thumb, right? It keeps you safe, but ultimately it's a rule of thumb that you use to allow you to quickly identify, is this even a deal or is this even potentially a deal?
Yeah.
Right? But in certain ARVs and certain price points, it just is not the best way to do a deal. For example, if you're under $100,000, 70% rule is probably not the best route, just because you want to make more than $7,000, $10,000, $20,000, or at least 15. You want to make at least that, right? If you're flipping a property. So, and even I would say even up to $500,000, sometimes a 70% rule, you have to get it at half the value. So I don't necessarily use the 70% rule, but I would truly do the numbers. And if it's say I'm gonna make 50, 60,000, I don't care if I'm off on that number, right? I'm still gonna make 50 or 60,000. I'm still gonna try to do that deal 9 times out of 10. So that's how we do it. And then another thing is we just evaluated a deal, and we're out in Tyler, the Boondocks, right? Tyler, Texas. But I just evaluated a deal, and on that one, there was a lot of opportunity on it, right? So as a common wholesaler, you put one lens on and you just look at it through the lens of a wholesaler. You're like, hey, I can make 25,000 on it. In Tyler, I know in order to wholesale, my buyers are paying 70% minus repairs. So I'm like, okay, I can wholesale it to myself because I can turn around and flip the property because it's a 70-cent deal when I sell it to somebody else. And on this one particular property, it had 2 lots in the back. Now I can go build 2 new construction homes on the back lots as well. So we're talking about one phone call where there's a potential to make about $130,000 just by putting on the right lens and seeing how many times can we get paid on this one particular deal, as opposed to just looking at it through a wholesale or just a fix and flip and selling the lots and all that good stuff.
That's right. And that's why they call him the maximizer.
Yes.
So, and you're so right. Knowing all the strategies is the key, not being that one trick pony, and then being able to string some of those things together sometimes. So yeah,
Absolutely.
love it. Love it.
Absolutely.
All right. So for those who may be listening and they're starting at zero real estate business, I mean, they don't know anything. What would you say? What's the first start? What should they do?
The first thing they should do, I would say number one is get educated. If you can somehow,
Yeah.
I don't care where it is, just get educated. I don't care if it's this podcast or wherever you are, get
Mhm.
educated, understand the industry. And then from there, I would try to reach out to as many real estate agents as possible and then go to networking events. And my whole goal, Teresa, if I'm being honest, I would try to raise private money. I'm a newbie. Can I find another newbie to partner with? Right. And I would see if these agents can bring me enough deals to where I can find one with a $30,000 flip spread. It may not be very expensive, but it may not be that bad of condition as well. And I would try to piece that together and flip it, not with my money, but from
Yeah.
my partner that I networked with. And I found that private money because truthfully, if we network, we can shorten what we really need. Right. And
Yes.
the agent can do the marketing for us. They bring us the deal. We just need to let them know we're in the ballpark and we're looking for that. Right. And they can typically bring it to me. I always say you got to do something, right? You got to give God something to bless.
That's
so if you
right.
get out there and take that opportunity, you'll find the opportunity. It'll
I
find
love
you.
it. I love it. I agree. I think one of the biggest pitfalls, as you mentioned, is trying to get out there and do it just like you did that first one where you lost money, is without a true education. Find a mentor, somebody that can teach you, give you, the basics, get some coaching,
Absolutely.
and I mean that's the key to everything. And then again, networking, and then saying yes, going out there and making the offers and getting it under contract and finding as many partners. I love, for me, something is more fun if I can do it with somebody else.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think that is one of the beautiful things about the Women's Real Estate Investors Network is all these women are partnering up and they have twice the confidence. They have twice the knowledge. They, when they're doing it together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
I love it.
When we first got on here, you talked about losing money on your first deal. Can you share more about your journey from losing money on that property to then making money with your first wholesale deal, and what changed for you, and what did that process look like?
Okay, so on my side, I'm gonna go with what changed for me. If I'm being honest with you, when I decided to be successful in real estate, because we were trying to be successful.
Yeah.
There's a difference between deciding to be successful and actually trying.
Ooh.
So when we decided to be successful, it was like, okay, we're learning a lot. We've learned a lot up until this point, but we are going to operate on just blind faith. And if they say this works, this is what we're going to stay committed to. Right. When we first got started and we lost money, agent brought us the deal. We had no idea about closing calls. So as soon as we found out about closing calls, what ended up happening was we were in the negative. As soon as we found out about closing calls and we paid the agent as being the sellers, we were going to lose money on the deal. We thought somebody else covered that cost because we had bought houses before, but we had never sold one. That was new. So in that situation, we end up trusting the wrong advice, taking the wrong advice, running with it, and we end up getting burned. But truly, it was just seeing other people do it. And I remember, like yesterday, Justin hopping in the truck, me and my brother, and he's taking us to all these properties in Tyler. He showed us how to write up a contract, and we started looking at these flips. And I'm like, man, this is kind of what I want for my life to look like. And I seen the opportunity and the money that could potentially be made from it. So we was just like, hey, this is what they do. They say they do 700 a week. I promise you I can't do that, but can I do 300 consistently, or can I do 100 consistently? And that was my whole goal, is just like, okay, I'm just going to do a little every day, whatever I can do every day. I'm just going to focus on that and I'm going to go do it. And then ultimately the phone started ringing and people were saying, are you guys these house buying guys? And I'm like, yeah, that's us for the first time. This is what we actually do. And from there, we didn't get our first deal. It was a sub 2, lady falling behind, and we didn't get that one, but it gave us confidence to keep going and understanding like we are on the way.
Yeah.
And then from there, we got the next one. It was a dog house. We ended up flipping it. And then I think we ended up having so much success, we ultimately just turned to wholesaling. I never wanted to be a wholesaler. I wanted to be, me and my twin, we're going to be the property brothers, just like on HGTV. So that was our goal back then. And we ended up having so many deals, and we found out that our money wasn't good enough, or it wasn't long enough. We could only do so much with hard money lenders with our money and our expertise. So that we started having a wholesale, and next thing you know, we got a deal for 10,000, a deal for 25, a deal for 2, and a deal for 72, all in the span of April to August.
Wow.
So we went from losing money the year before to April to August making 6 figures. And I had to call in and tell them I wasn't coming back to work. Ever since.
But I love that, because you said the difference was you decided. You took action, because making a decision is taking action.
Mm-hmm.
You decided to be successful in real estate, not just to try it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
I remember those days back then when you were just starting and watching you and your brother just jumping in and doing it. It was so much fun to just watch and see your success now. And now here you are, a REI coach every day, coaching women all over the nation how to do this, encouraging them, inspiring them. So talk a little bit about what that means to you, to be able to give back and being a REI coach.
It means everything. It means everything, because I know I'm giving back to an individual, but this individual goes back and gives to plenty of other people, right? And the opportunity for them to change their lives. We may not impact it today, but I know it's something that's going to spark something in them and their next decision to move forward, that little kid or whatever the case may pick up and they can run, and it's going to impact generations on top of generations. So it means a whole heck of a lot, because I think we are all like a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like we all understand it, and we've been in those situations where we may have cried, right? Or we maybe was afraid.
That's right.
And we had to overcome some of those hurdles in order for us to move forward. So I think it's awesome. I love it. And truly just being in the industry and understanding it, it's easy for me to just make it plain for them. A lot of times people think you need to accomplish everything in one night. But like I tell most of the ladies on the call, it's just like, man, let's just do the one thing that we should have done yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll end up with progress.
That's
so
right.
it helps out. It helps out a whole heck of a lot. And I love it to keep me grounded. And it lets me know that I'm in the fight with somebody else as well.
Yeah. Well, for me,
absolutely.
I just want to say thank you for the way that you sow into our women, teach them, inspire them, encourage them when they're ready to give up, and just keeping them in the fight, as you say, and grounding them and all of that. So I so appreciate the effect that you're having on women. And just like you said, it's not just about them, it's about their family. So you're helping women change the entire trajectory of their family, giving them confidence, giving them hope, showing them that financial freedom can really be a thing for just an average woman. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for the opportunity, for sure. But yeah, I get so much out of that. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Because I obviously, having a single mom growing up in that background, I relate to women, and I look at a lot of my mom age, right? So I'm able to look at it and try to speak life into that situation, which is awesome, because I know at that point somebody was speaking life into me, right? So I need that same thing.
I love it. Oh, and that just reminded me, you brought up your mom. Am I right? Do I remember that you and your brother actually were able to buy your mom a house?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. We got a subject to deal in good old Tyler, Texas, from that same span from April to August, right? We had a lot of success, and we had a subject to lead come in. About 3-4 months later, we end up buying it. And then we end up giving it to our mom. It was like a perfect deal. I think we came out of pocket like $2,000 or $3,000 for it.
Wow.
And we fixed it up. And we gave her the keys.
That's
nice.
awesome. What a
is.
dream. What a dream come true for so many people would love to do that. And those are the things that are kind of that are possible with real estate investing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it didn't take me making $1 million to be able to do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
So Jordan, you have achieved financial freedom at a young age. And can you share some of the insights about this journey and how real estate has changed the trajectory of your life, besides buying your mom a home, which is incredible?
Absolutely. I think about it all the time. Truthfully, if I'm being honest, I'm just blessed.
Yeah.
Like there's no way around it. When I look at it, when I think about it, I am truly blessed. And I think about what other people doing, especially when I see people around me. Some people that I go back to, and I'm like, man, you know what? I am in a great position,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for it. And not even if you take away money, all that stuff, just the knowledge, the person that I've
Hmm.
become up until this point, and I'm able to see things and appreciate them.
Yeah.
Right? Not live a life of, hey, I got these things, but I'm just like, man, I'm in a moment of awe right now and very intentional about every single moment that we get. And I've learned that from being inside of real estate, being around high achievers. Time is very important. Like that's the number one asset that we got. So it allows me to be able to, hey, stop scrolling and go spend time with the boys, stop scrolling, go spend time with the wife, or go outside and play and interact. And I get that because of real estate.
Yes.
Right? I get that because of real estate, because the person I've become in this process is allowing me to be able to enjoy just the little things. And then from there, you can understand and look back and say, look how far we've come. Because a
Mm.
lot of times people will make the money and still say they still got a long way to go. But I'm at a point where I'm like, man, I truly got the things that matter to me on my deathbed. They are still here. I'm appreciative of every moment that I get with those people that I'm going to think about, because I'm not going to think about a thing. I'm not going to think about a brick and mortar, a house. I'm
That's
not going to think about
right.
any of that. I'm just going to think about the family, and real estate has allowed me to really enjoy that, from the vacations, even from when I was talking about taking the kids out and doing homeschooling.
Hmm.
You don't get that freedom. You can't think about how you can get that freedom when you know you got to wake up and be somewhere
Yeah.
and spend a certain amount of time at that job to make ends meet. But when you're in real estate, you have that freedom to kind of control what's coming in, what's going out.
It's admirable that you've had this success and you've chosen to give back and mentor the women of the network
Yeah.
to reach the success level that you're at. And I know that they're also appreciative of that.
Yeah, vice versa. I love it.
So, as a mentor, you've been coaching for a while now. What's the most common challenge that you see new real estate investors facing, and how do you advise them to overcome it, Jordan?
Truthfully, I would say just being able to get out of our own way, right? If you can do that 9 times out of 10, we're going to have progress. We're going to have a new problem that we're going to be left to deal with, that we can deal with at that particular point. But I would say it's truly just getting out your own way. Some of the limiting beliefs that you come in that you
Mhm.
have. And a lot of people that we mentor, a lot of them want to know what A through Z is before they do anything.
Mhm.
And if I'm honest, the only reason why I know about a probate is because I went through the process.
Yeah.
Right? I learned by fire. Right?
Yeah.
I was thrown in the fire, and I learned about a probate process. I was thrown in the fire, and I learned about pre foreclosure. Right? I had a knowledge of it, but truly, I didn't learn until I went through the fire.
That's
I was
right.
like, man, okay, I'm
Yeah.
experienced. I understand. I see the other side of it. I can help here. Um, so I would say that's probably the biggest problem. And on my side, again, the if we're talking about what do they need to do with it, or how can they overcome, I would just get started on what you know you should already do. Like if you
Yeah.
do that, let the coaches handle the rest.
Yeah.
But just do what you know you're supposed to do. They say get it under contract. All right, that's what we need to focus on. Let's go
Yeah.
get it under contract.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You know, we in this business, everybody in this business, we will always talk about mindset and overcoming those limiting beliefs so much. And a lot of people get frustrated with that. They're like, I don't need all that. I just need to know the A to Z. I just want to know. And I'm like, nope, you're so wrong. You will knowing all the A to Z is never going to help you if you don't have the right mindset and if you don't overcome the limiting beliefs. So we're always, and you will never hear a successful person downplaying mindset or overcoming limiting beliefs, because they all had to be where they are.
Absolutely. And one thing I've learned from mentoring, if we don't address it as a mentor, they have no,
Yeah.
just being honest, you have no chance.
No.
Because you have to be able to come into it with a growth mindset
Yeah.
and really be able to put things on the table so we can get progress. right? And that's really the biggest thing. We get progress. Eventually, we'll end up where we want to be,
Yes.
right? If we get progress, but we got to get around that first step. Oh, I'm going to look bad. Well, trust me, ladies, I've looked terrible time and time again, especially in front of the seller. I remember my first door knock. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
It was terrible. My first cold call. Nobody picked up, but I remember it because I was nervous.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk to anybody. I was nervous. My voice was cracking and I didn't even have anybody to say anything. So I was telling God, hey, here's the phone, your turn. It was getting bad data, right? But we learned how to do it the right way. We went through it. And I would say anything that's worth doing is worth doing badly.
Yeah.
I think that's a Les Brown quote, but ultimately that's 100% true. So if it's worth doing, let's do it badly. Let's suck a little bit and let's get over that hump.
That's right.
But we can get better. We can get the result that we're looking for.
Oh, I love it.
So good.
Again, I just want to say thank you. And I love, not only are you an amazing real estate investor and coach, but I also love watching the way you love your family. You're always putting God first, your family next, have 3 beautiful kiddos, beautiful wife. And so again, thank you so much for who you are and what you are to the Women's Real Estate Investors Network.
Appreciate y'all for having me. I appreciate y'all truly for that opportunity. Definitely.
Well, if you have not subscribed to the Without Fear of Her Future podcast, hit that subscribe button right now for new episode reminders. As we wrap up today's episode, imagine this. Imagine waking up each morning excited for what the day holds. Imagine waking up every day and feeling comforted knowing that you and your family are financially secure. What if I told you that everyday women just like you are making life-changing profits through investing in real estate right now? This is not your typical masterclass. It's a life-altering transformation that will pay for generations to come. This masterclass is your golden ticket to rapid financial freedom. Dare to dream bigger, step into your life's destiny, and seize control of your own financial future. It's not too late. So click the link in the description of this episode to register for the next masterclass now.
Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and Teresa Todd, I'm Melissa Baker, encouraging you to be brave and dream big.